Speaking of Game of Thrones, I want to very briefly compare every single character in Game of Thrones to one person in the streaming war. Blockbuster's the Mad King. Netflix is Robert Baratheon. Apple TV's the Tyrells. Jeff Bezos is, of course, Tywin Lannister. HBO Max is Tyrion Lannister. Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus are the Starks. Peacock is those stupid characters, the Sand Snakes.
I never even heard of that one.
Really, really annoying. I had to put this back in because it's very important to me. By the way, I'll take no questions. This is 100% correct. I will take no questions. But you may notice if you're a Game of Thrones fan, there is one character missing. Kind of a really, really important, major, powerful character. Where's Daenerys and her dragon? Who is the Queen of Dragon? Who's the most powerful person in the whole show? Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, here it is. Did anybody guess yet? Who wins? All this bullshit, who wins? Whose content is free to make? It's the platform I'm on. Not right now. The other one.
Gentlemen, the real winner of the streaming wars is YouTube.
YouTube. This website is not the best one for ad revenue, right? But YouTube also is a platform where everyone makes all the content for them for free and then uploads it. And then they take 50-50 of the ad revenue, right? And then also 30% of everything else, right? Super chats, members, stickers, all that type of shit. But the ad revenue, they just straight take 50% of all ad revenue while paying absolutely $0 to create content.
Top to bottom.
And the difference also, right, and why it's a better comparison. YouTube, you can find highly edited documentaries and videos and stuff that literally is just as good as watching a show, right? Whereas, a live stream is a live stream, and there's a lot of them, right? I feel like I do a pretty good job of managing to always kind of be talking about something to keep it interesting, but you never know, right? There's usually a lot more dead space, and you don't get that. And even in an entertaining stream, right, to keep it like a show would be, it still would have to be edited down and tight, right? To remove all of the boring bits or the bits where you kept talking about something that didn't matter that much for too long. And right, to get it, right, turn it into like an edited, curated video that's on par with watching a TV show.
Started to realize was the numbers that these streamers...
And literally, when he was saying this, I was like, this is what I was thinking the whole time too, as he kept being like, well, this platform, it costs them a lot too, though, and they're having to spend a lot, and they're spending a lot. And I was like, everyone's spending a lot. YouTube doesn't... I was literally just sitting here like, man, everyone's spending a fuckload. YouTube makes a lot of money, and they literally spend nothing on making it. I wonder, like, if really the answer is all of these platforms eventually are going to have economic viability issues, and like, it's just going to be YouTube. Or if they will try to adopt similar things. I could see Netflix doing that since they're so, right? They're not like as professional, like high end as like HBO Max. And they've allowed plenty of trash shows on there. Apparently they are going to try to get into live streaming. So it seems like they're kind of they're seeing this like, oh, we could just get creators that want to try to make a living being creators to make shit for us for free type of deal thing.
Services are pulling in are not that good for what they cost. And so I looked at the numbers for YouTube. For 2019, This is YouTube's ad revenue versus Netflix's total revenue. So this is the money YouTube makes just on ads. 2019, Netflix made...
That's old, right, though? 2019.
Made $3 billion. Netflix made $4.5 billion. Netflix made 50%
And then, on just ads. Not super chats, memberships, YouTube, like premium memberships, none of that other shit. Just taking 50% of your ad revenue.
By 2021... up to $6 billion.
Also, while I was watching this whole thing, sorry to pause Andy again. While I was watching this whole thing, I also got the feeling that I feel like even though taking 30% from your stuff is less than Twitch takes, I still think it's fucked up. You're making plenty on ad revenue that you have to pay $0 on the content for, man. Like, why are you not giving me a good deal like Patreon? Why is it not 5% like Patreon is? You're not creating any of the content for that either. They looked at the numbers and were like, Twitch takes 50, we could take 30 and people will think we're awesome. You do back end work to develop the system one time and then you just make money off of it forever while the creators do the work. 30%, it's still ridiculous.
From YouTube ad revenue and $7.2 billion from Netflix revenue. Late last year, when Netflix was at its all-time high, doing amazing, they were making $7.5 billion and YouTube was making $7.2 billion. And then just now, In the most recent quarterly report,
There we go.
YouTube smashed them. YouTube is now making more money just from ads on YouTube videos than Netflix's 200 million paying subscribers. And
Isn't that fucking crazy? Just off taking 50% of ad revenue from creators that they make, that they pay zero money to create the content for. It's when you start breaking it down like this, you come walking away from this feeling like YouTube is running some sick hustle scam. Because they're also taking 30% of the memberships and the super chats and the super thanks and everything else you try to do to try to give the creator money. But they know, like, right, it's easier. Most people are going to click the thing that's integrated rather than having to go to a third-party outside website. So they're really just like taking advantage of that.
I want to ask you a question. How much do you think that YouTube spends on content? Netflix spends $20 billion a year. How much does YouTube spend to make these kind of revenues? Nothing. They spend nothing. So while
Fucking nothing.
Netflix might spend $27 million to hire actors, hire a director, build sets, and film a show like Squid Game, and that's cheap.
Man.
$27 million is incredibly cheap. YouTube gets Mr. Beast to do it.
Yeah.
Mr. Beast fronts all the costs. YouTube gets a cut of the ad revenue. They get half. So it's a business that has basically zero marginal costs and massively growing revenues. And when you look at numbers like that, you realize that Netflix is absolutely roasting YouTube is absolutely roasting the competition. No one else.
Are you stuck with the Game of Thrones scene and just made YouTube the Daenerys dragon, like roasting everybody?
And close. I think a perfect example of this is a channel like Summoning Salt, because Netflix would never greenlight a show like Summoning Salt. The idea is they want to make something broad and kind of dumb that'll appeal to everybody. But on YouTube, because the costs are so different, you can make micro niche content that appeals to just a certain brand of people very hard. And you got
and then also, like, inside of that also, right? The creators themselves have the ability to choose that. Is because me as an individual, I can also choose to set myself up where I have, like, right, it's not costing me a lot of money, right? I have the setup that I built, right? The computer and stuff. But outside of that, like, right, like, I'm not doing it in an expensive, like, right, business suite or whatever, right? I don't even live in a town or a city, right? I live out in the middle of nowhere, so that the property I bought is incredibly fucking cheap, right? Literally cheaper than buying a new diesel truck for the whole property. And I can do stuff like that, right? And then I can choose to eat cheap and all these things so that my cost isn't that high, and potentially I could do well off of the stuff with it, right? If you have lower overhead, then you need, like, less margins and profits to do well as a business. And that's essentially what's going on with YouTube.